This is episode 11 of Art, Why I Stuck with a Junkie Jazz Man. In episode 10, I was still in Synanon. Art had left, and he wrote me a letter telling me he wanted me to join him. I decided that I would for various reasons. The main one, I thought, or at least I said, was to write a book about his life. In episode 11, I do join him, and the writing of Straight Life begins. Here's the narrative. The name of the chapter is Freedom. My mother took me home to her house, much to my second stepfather's dismay. The next day, we two went apartment hunting in Venice Beach, near Bob and Nikki's bakery on West Washington Boulevard. I called Art and said I'd see him soon. First, I wanted to get settled. He seemed nonplussed and relieved. My mother always enjoyed house and apartment hunting because she was incredibly lucky at it. It was she who found my adorable suicide cottage after I left Barrett and before I entered Synanon. This time, we found a magical little eyrie, a bargain in the shape of an attic apartment in a little wood frame house. $100 a month in 1972 wasn't bad at all. It had a long main room of white painted beadboard with many windows facing west and south. No views of the sea, but an enchanting one of palm trees, rooftops, sunsets, with gentle ocean breezes blowing in. There was a small kitchen with a big sash window overlooking a high-grown vacant lot, grassy and green. A sunny dressing room, which became my little office, and an ancient but charming bathroom complete with iron-footed tub. The kitchen gave on to more attic space, unpainted and enclosed. It was perfect for storing all the huge, dusty furniture that cluttered the apartment, still leaving me room for a primitive, windowless darkroom, conveniently near the running water in the kitchen. I went shopping with my mom in thrift shops for furniture and moved into my new place. I'd assumed my parents would bankroll my new start, and they did. It wasn't an awful lot of money, and they had it at the time. My second stepfather, Milt, was a Trotskyist and a businessman who gave half his income to the party. He was a plumbing contractor, and his company was thriving. Bob and Nikki offered me a job for a minimal wage as a cashier in the bakery, and they generously invited me to share their frugal dinners. She had a graphics business as well and gave me some photography jobs to do for her. The dinners she and Bob made were basic and boring, but Bob's bread was so rich you could live on it. During the day, we workers in the bakery gorged on the broken loaves, honeyed heavy wheat bread piled with butter. A very few Los Angelinos may remember good stuff bread when it was baked in coffee cans and came out penis-shaped, whole grain, stone ground, delicious. I made Art wait 3 days to see me. We made love in his narrow bed. He didn't come. I didn't understand it, but he was addicted to codeine, and that's what it does. We were nervous with each other. Me, because he wasn't as adoring as I remembered. He, because of all he was concealing from me. Also, he believed I'd left Synanon for him. What a responsibility. I tried to explain to him what I've already attempted to explain to you, reader, about my desire to write a book. He must have been confused. I, as usual, was too. At least he'd already discarded his interim girlfriend. I found out about her when an attractive, well-dressed woman walked into the bakery one day. She chatted with her son, an incredibly good-looking teenage baker. She stared at me and rushed out, sobbing. When I asked, her son said she'd been dating Art. Later, Art was matter-of-fact. I told her that my girlfriend was coming. What did she think she was? I asked, not without a little smug compassion. He shrugged. I told her all about you right in front. And yet he was so frequently too busy for me. I expected him in the evenings, but he was, quote, doing the books. I could walk through the vacant lot in the moonlight, rustling through the weeds, cross the dirt alley to the back of Bob and Nikki's house. I could see whether the car Art used was there. I could see whether Art's lamps were lit. I began to make obsessive little forays nightly. I began to be secretly jealous, but I couldn't tell of what. He'd made me jealous twice before in Synanon, but those events were mild and playful, contained as they were in a community in which it was possible to know almost everything that went on with everyone. Out here, I was in limbo, and out here, I had not much else to think about. I called my friend Art Kunken, my old boss at the LA Free Press, and proposed a Synanon story to him. I wanted to tell it and felt a need to make some use of my Synanon photographs. I wrote a lengthy, funny, grateful, mildly shocking piece. It ran as a feature for pages and pages, along with a glossary of Synanon lingo. Kunken must have paid me something for it, and he praised the piece effusively. I felt ready to begin writing the book. On April 11th, 1972, I finally made Art commit to an hour with me. That afternoon, I went to his office bedroom at the bakery with a notebook and one of those small, inexpensive tape recorders with a built-in mic. Art sat behind his immaculate old desk with its too neat arrangement of pens and pencils, an adding machine, his cigarettes, lighter, and ashtray placed just so, and constantly nudged into ever more perfect alignment, and a bottle of malt liquor. Mickey was the brand he liked, a name to conjure with. I had no idea how much of this stuff he was drinking until we began to record regularly. I clicked record and said, "Tell me why you want to do this book." Actually, up to that point, it was all me, my desire to begin, and his resistance. But he obediently took my cue. What follows, edited a little, is what he said. Well, the reason I want to get the book started. The book was going to be written. When I was in San Quentin, someone came in to visit me. He wanted to write a book on my life. He got permission to see me. He came in 2 or 3 times. Then when I got out and I saw him in Hollywood, I decided I didn't want the book written because I didn't feel that that was the time to do it. That was in '66. Now I want to have it done. Now I feel a real sense of urgency because I feel something pulling at me. I have a strong feeling I'm not going to live too much longer. And although I have lots of reasons to feel that way physically, this is more than a physical thing. I can sense it. It's becoming like another person. I can almost touch it. It's becoming real. I can only liken it to one period when I was using heroin cut with procaine. I was shooting about half an ounce of this stuff a day, and I would hear voices. Somebody calling my name outside the bathroom door. and little things would flash. I would see a flash to my right or to my left, and I'd turn my head and there was nothing there. It was an audible thing, a visual thing. It wasn't an imagined thing. It actually happened. And it was induced by the procaine this heroin was cut with. And now I feel a presence. Just in the last couple of weeks, I've really been feeling it. I can feel this presence, and the presence is death. I gasped. I checked the tape. It was rolling. He continued, going far afield into a wild improvisation on aging, death, superstition, suicide and comic book imagery, Edgar Cayce, and immortality. That was it. He was done. He was very low, but I was on fire. I couldn't let him stop talking. I asked him there, surrounded by awards he'd been given, and his album covers, all of which he'd mounted on his walls, if he believed he was a genius. I'd heard him on this theme before. What he said then about his bandstand battle with Sonny Stitt appears in Straight Life. I edited it and made it the conclusion, his summing up, and it's been excerpted and praised in almost every review. For me, it was art's opening salvo. Brilliant, touching, rhythmic, evocative, suspenseful, triumphant. Here it is. I was given a gift. I was given a gift in a lot of ways. I was given a gift of being able to endure things, to accept certain things, to be able to accept punishment for things that I did wrong against society, the things that society feels were wrong. And I was able to go to prison. I never informed on anyone. As for music, anything I've done has been something that I've done, quotes, off the top. I've never studied, never practiced. I'm one of those people, I knew it was there. All I had to do was reach for it. Just do it. I remember one time when I was playing at the Black Hawk in San Francisco. I forget the date, but Sonny Stitt was touring with Jazz at the Philharmonic. He came in and he wanted to jam with me. He came in and he says, "Can I blow?" I said, "Yeah, great." We both play alto, which is, it really makes it a contest. But Sonny is one of those guys. That's the thing with him. It's a communion. It's a battle. It's an ego trip. It's a testing ground. And that's the beautiful part of it. It's like two guys that play great pool, wanting to play pool together, or two great football teams, or two magnificent basketball teams, and just the joy of playing with someone great, being with someone great. I guess it's like James Joyce when he was a kid, you know? He hung out with all the great writers of the day, and he was a little kid, like, with tennis shoes on. And they said, "Look at this lame." They didn't use those words in those days. They said, "God, here comes this nut." And he told them, "I'm great." And he sat with them, and he loved to be with them. And it ended up that he was great. That's the way Sonny felt. That's the way I've always felt. I said, "What do you want to play?" Sonny says, "Let's play Cherokee." That's a song jazz musicians used to play. The bridge, which is the middle part, has all kinds of chord changes in it. It's very difficult. If you can play that, if some kid came around and he wanted to play, you'd say, "Let's play Cherokee." And you'd count it off real fast. I said, "Well, beat it off." He went, 1, 2, 1, 2. He was flying. We played the head, the melody, and then he took the first solo. He played, I don't know, about 40 choruses. He played for an hour, maybe. Did everything that could be done on a saxophone, everything you could play, as much as Charlie Parker could have played if he'd been there. Then he stopped and he looked at me, gave me one of those looks. All right, sucker, your turn. And it's my job. It's my gig. I was strung out. I was hooked. I was drunk. I was having a hassle with my wife, Diane, who'd threatened to kill herself in our hotel room next door. I had marks on my arm. I thought there were narcs in the club, and I all of a sudden realized that it was me. He'd done all those things, and now I had to put up or shut up or get off or forget it or quit or kill myself or do something. I forgot everything, and everything came out. I played way over my head. I played completely different than he did. I searched and found my own way, and what I said reached the people. I played myself, and I knew I was right, and the people loved it, and they felt it. I blew and I blew, and when I finally finished, I was shaking all over. My heart was pounding. I was soaked in sweat, and the people were screaming. The people were clapping, and I looked at Sonny, but I just kind of nodded. And he went, all right. And that was it. That's what it's all about. I was sitting on his little bed and hollered, wow, rocking back and hitting my head on the wall. Funk. Holy shit. Turn it off, Art told me. I turned the tape recorder off. Then, surreptitiously, I turned it on again. We were both talking at once. His narrative had been like a jazz solo, its repeating theme, its mounting vehemence, its forward movement, and yet it had been history, a social document. This may have been the first time Art was made aware of just how great his storytelling gifts were. As for me, it confirmed my belief that there could be a book. And I knew that there must be. And Art, well, he went on saying that he was going to fall in love with the tape recorder, that he was going to start dreaming about it. He said he saw now that his life was beautiful because it made sense now as a recollection, and that his fate had prepared him for this, his final work, by throwing him into Synanon, where playing the game had enhanced his verbal skills and where he met me, who was making all this possible. Though Art was to lose this early enthusiasm, making it harder and harder for me to sit him down and keep him talking, I had finally found my calling. I'd been prepared by my intense childhood exposure to music, my helter-skelter Berkeley education in anthropology, folklore, oral history, and literature, and by the sly tales of youthful hobo adventures told me by my drunkard stepfather, a great raconteur in his cups. I'd absorbed no literary or academic rules I'd have to exert myself to follow or break. I had no political axes to grind, no philosophical points to make. I'd written all my life, stories, poetry, lyrical pretty stuff, lazy stuff, in that I was easily satisfied with tricky images and deft sentence endings. Art's language, his directness, shocked and stirred me, steered me toward true seriousness for the first time in my life, toward true ambition. I once heard a musician Art jammed with say, he made me play way over my head. Art's intensity inspired and dared everyone he worked with to get serious. As we went on, I learned to make him describe things over and over to me. Memory is subjective, selective, but As archaeologists work daintily, unflaggingly, with brushes on some tiny patch of interest, in my relentless scratchings, I'd find stuff that surprised me, that might not exactly jibe, that gave a new perspective. And so I goaded art, whose increasing resistance, I realized later, wasn't laziness, as I'd believed. It was perfectionism. It drove and sometimes crippled him. He demanded of himself that he be wonderful in everything he did. In the years to come, I made him repeat some of his problematic anecdotes again and again. I wanted to know everything. When I pressed for elaborate descriptions of people and places, he came up with often stunning, masterful vignettes. As for his criminal or suicidal mad behavior, what came before? What was the provocation? How did he feel about it at the time? How did he feel now, looking back? I wasn't looking for justifications for his actions, but I wanted the descriptions to be as full as he could make them. I'd edit all the many versions into one and read that to him, coming up with what we both thought gave the most complete account, making sure I'd caught the rhythms of his speech. Does this sound like you? My cross-examinations and contradictions could make him angry and defensive, but Art loved honesty. He called it truth with a capital T, and he respected me, he trusted me, and knew I valued him despite what damning stuff we might uncover. I was single-mindedly oblivious of how cruelly deep I made him dig. I persevered, and so did he.